Hello and welcome to Robinson Hall Experts Talk. Today I have Charles Lovell and David Jones with me, and we will be discussing, have you considered selling your land or property via auction? So let me introduce them. David Jones is partner and head of agency at Robinson Hall. He's instrumental in Robinson Hall's growth for the past 4 decades and heads up the agency team. He can be found on the rostrum throughout the year, rapidly concluding land and property sales at the drop of his gavel.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to join you.
Thank you, David. I also have Charles Lovell with me. He's head of auction. He has 30 years experience in the property world and has grown the auction department. He is the key driver to our successful bi-monthly auctions. So welcome.
Thank you, Paula.
Hello.
Firstly, we had our last property auction in August. How did it go?
Very good, thank you, Laura. We sold all bar 2 lots, so it was a fantastic result. 92% of lots offered were sold.
And I would just say the atmosphere in the room was as good as I've seen it for a long time. The room was full of people, and we had plenty of people on the live stream bidding as well.
And I think we've also got to thank everybody for their patience, because our staging company managed to crash their van on the way down, and it caused somewhat of a delay. It's maybe an hour and a half delay, and everybody stayed there. I don't think we saw anybody leave. All the internet bidders stayed with us, and so yeah, everybody's patience was really appreciated.
That's good to hear. I guess these things happen, and technical fumbles and things like that can occur.
First time, I think, in 12 years, 13 years, first time we've had an issue. The company we use are very good, but they do come from Suffolk, and I think the van in the country lane met a big tractor, and the outcome wasn't very good.
So we had a successful auction. I think that seems to be a reoccurring theme. Our auctions are kind of steadily increasing in lot numbers, and obviously sales. We generally, on average, sell between 85, 90, 95 sometimes % of lots, which is always a good thing. What lots do you see sell particularly well?
I think the lots where people can see they can add value. That's always appealing to people, be it a 3-bed semi in need of a refurbishment, or a building plot, or just a piece of land where people think they might be able to improve and gain some planning consent. And then the group of lots that sell particularly well are the investment properties, where people can see that they can get a return, a sensible return against their outlay. And it's those 2 groups of property types that work particularly well.
And what about land?
Oh, again, I think it's land perhaps falls into the potential of adding value, the hope value for an acre with a road access on the edge of a village. There's always people will look at that and think, well, there's potential, and I've got use for it in the meantime. So yes, land, small parcels of land particularly sell well.
So I think it's fair to say that a variety of property and land sells well at auction. So if you are listening and thinking, well, actually, I don't really think that my property or my land would be suitable, don't cancel us out. We've sold many varieties of properties.
We've sold all sorts over the years. I mean, one that springs to mind is an old public toilet in a park in Luton, which eventually sold. I think it went on at about £30,000, and we eventually sold it for £130,000. And there were many bidders in the room. If you have a piece of property and it's, let's say, a slight oddball, or it has a slight problem with it, or you've had difficulty selling it through the private treaty market, auction is very often a way to resolve that problem.
I think that's a fair point, David. Where there's a property where there is an issue, with auction, the clarity is out there up front. You've got a legal pack. You disclose what the concerns are. There's no Chinese whispers. There's no neighbours insulting viewers and telling them that there's all sorts of things, because it's there. People can read the legal pack before they go and view and know exactly what it is that they're purchasing. So anything which is a bit quirky, a bit unusual, how do you attach a value to an old public toilet with some big cracks in the walls? You find that value out in an auction room. And so, for anything quirky, as I say, the auction can be the place to determine the value that you otherwise simply couldn't put a figure on.
But I guess with all our lots, there is a guide, there's a reserve, so you're not kind of going all out with no idea of what you're going to achieve.
Absolutely right. That's what we do. We come out and we look at something and try and gauge where the sale price is going to be, but our priority is then to think about setting a guide price which is going to create the competition amongst buyers. And from there you will determine the value. If you've got 3 or 4 people bidding on a property, when that gavel comes down, you've found out its value.
It's a very good way of doing that. So you've touched on a little bit about the benefits, but what are the other benefits of selling at auction?
The speed.
I think speed and certainty are key for both buyers and sellers. Somebody could approach us today, and it could be in an auction in 4 or 5 weeks' time, and then we could complete 4 weeks after that, and they would have their money. And there's not many other ways of getting a sale through that quickly. The certainty of it as well. On the fall of the hammer, the contracts are exchanged, neither party can renegotiate. So we don't have all of the messing around that can occur with other routes. And I think for sellers, the important point is competition. We get all of the potential buyers together in a room, whether it's a real, a live room or a virtual room. We get them all together in a room on a day, and we make them compete for that property. So the competition, I think, is highly important for the seller and for the buyer. I think transparency, which I think Charles touched on a moment ago, they know that they're not being told fibs by the agent. They can see the other bidder on the other side of the room. It's a genuine forum for selling, and I think everybody feels comfortable both to sell and to buy, in the auction room.
And I think for sellers also, sometimes they need that demonstration that a property was sold for fair market value, and an auction does that. You might be an executor, you've got beneficiaries to consider. It might be a sale for a parent to cover care home fees. That property, when it's put into a public auction, people can't dispute the sold price and query it. It's sold in an open and public forum with competition, and it's achieved its fair market price.
What if a seller is contemplating the auction route but they're not sure if it's right for them?
Well, I would just say, give us a call. We're happy to come out and have a look at the property. We'll give an initial view on the method of sale and on the pricing, obviously, on the issues that apply to that particular property. There's no commitment at that point, so come and get our opinion, and by all means go to local estate agents and get their opinion as well, and decide the route that's best for you. If you do decide to put it with a local estate agent and it doesn't work out, by all means come back to us in due course, and we'll come out and give a new view and go from there. But just talk to everybody and then make a decision that you feel is right for you.
And if the seller does decide to go down the auction road, what is the process after they've kind of committed?
Well, we would photograph the property, we'll prepare a description, we'd send it to the sellers to approve before we start marketing the property. Once that description is approved, then it would be sent out through the property portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market. They're the main 3. We use all of those, plus a number of secondary sites such as Prime Location and various others. So there's an extensive burst of marketing online. We erect a board. We've got quite eye-catching sale boards.
Yeah.
They do get noticed. You do find that often people will buy within their locality, so they need to see those boards. They're not always looking on Rightmove. And then we produce a catalogue, and the catalogue is mailed out to thousands on our catalogue list. and we'll commence with a series of viewings for those properties that require internal inspection.
And the open house viewings as well, so you're not having to, if it's a property that isn't possibly vacant, you're not having to kind of be available all the time.
Absolutely, and also for tenants, if you've got a tenant in the property, being told that an agent might be phoning them 24 hours notice on any day for a viewing, that can be frustrating. When it's an auction property, they'll have at least a week's notice. We will have 3 open house viewings. Generally they're half-hour slots. They don't need to be there. They can be there if they want. And it's so straightforward, and it's straightforward for the buyers. And
then I would guess that the solicitor would then prepare the legal pack.
Exactly right. In the meantime, in the background, the lawyer's putting the legal pack together. We're giving advice on what needs to be done and how to be done.
Yeah.
David reviews all the legal packs when they come in, because it's remarkable how many mistakes he does find.
But it's important that the legal pack is constructed in the right way, so that when we drop the hammer on the day, we can form a binding contract, and that's the whole purpose of having the legal pack and the advantage of auction. It's done on the day, it's sold.
So then the auction happens, the gavel falls, the lot's sold. How long is completion?
Completion is usually 4 weeks after the auction, although we can set any other date that suits the seller. But usually it's 4 weeks after the auction date, and that's the day when the seller will receive their money for their property.
Great. So how does auction differ to the traditional estate agency route? I know that we've talked about speed and certainty. Is there anything else worth mentioning?
I suppose just in terms of the approach, with an estate agent, very often there's a temptation to start off with a higher price to see what's out there, and I quite understand that. But then you might have to take a bit of time to adjust that price to get back to a true value. With an auction, we tend to start with a lower price and let the bidding work itself up to its proper market value. So we're coming at it from a different angle. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is hopefully a quick, clean sale for the seller with as little fuss as possible.
I think one thing that was always said to me when working in agency, the criticism of the number of sales that go wrong. And people would say, why can't we have the Scottish system? It's so much better. When you offer in Scotland, there's some kind of commitment. And I think auction does that more. When somebody offers an auction, if their offer is accepted, that is the fall of the gavel. That's when both buyer and seller are committed. There's no putting forward an offer and then changing your mind weeks later and leaving the seller high and dry.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. It's not always buyers that let sellers down. It can be the other way around. And the auction room gives both parties the reassurance that once an offer's been accepted, there's an agreement that can't just be walked away from.
And that's key, really, isn't it? Because as a seller, you want to make sure that you have a successful transaction. So if I'm listening now and I'm a seller, but I've committed to another agent, how would I go about kind of reviewing my situation and taking it off the market with the agent and using auction?
Well, most people, when they sign up with an agent, they sign up for a set period of time, and most agents' contracts allow for a rolling basis after that set period of time. So people would need to look at the terms of their contract, and if, for example, they've signed up for a 10-week marketing period with that agent, and there's a 2-week notice period. If after 8 weeks they serve notice on the agent, then at the end of the 10 weeks, that 2 weeks would have been absorbed within, and they're free to go elsewhere. They can have a conversation with us at any time.
Yeah,
and from our
point, the end.
Exactly. And from our point of view, we're not going to give inflated figures. Auction, it's all about starting from a realistic viewpoint.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for them, then they can either reconsider where they are with the agent that they're currently using, or whether or not perhaps a different agent might be suitable. But our advice is always We try to make it as fair as possible. It's not about just throwing numbers at people to put a smile on their face.
I would add that we also work very closely with a large number of local estate agents. Many estate agents have if you like, an auction facility, perhaps through us, but perhaps through others, where they can move properties through to an auction route. So if you talk to your agent, it might be that they work with us anyway, and it's something that we can transfer the property across to auction in conjunction with working closely with your estate agent. So yeah, we can have an open chat about that.
So tell me about the auction market. Can you see any changes on the horizon?
I think we're seeing a busy time with the anticipation of tax rises in the budget at the end of October, and I think that people are particularly concerned about capital gains tax, possibly rises in inheritance tax, and they're seeing it as an opportunity to sell in our October auction, which is on the 16th, so gets ahead of the budget changes.
And also it's worth mentioning that although the auction's on the 16th, there is a deadline to enter lots. So you don't have till the 16th to enter a lot, because we talked about the process and there's quite a lot involved prior with the legal pack, etc. So speak to us sooner rather than later if you are considering putting your property in the October auction.
Yes, we close the catalogue 3 or 4 weeks before the sale date, so come and talk to us.
And are there other changes on the horizon? I know we've got a new website soon to launch, which is very exciting.
We have, yeah. We're looking forward to that. We hope to have that live mid-September. And I think that the idea is to give people a good understanding of auction who are perhaps less familiar with auction, so both buyers and sellers. So that's.
There'll be a lot of, there's a few guides on our website currently, but we've certainly kind of wiped the slate clean a little bit and looked at being more informative and educational when it comes to auction if you're new to it, or even if you are familiar with it. There's a lot of information on there. We've also got solicitors and finance pages.
Yeah. And I think that's key is that you can go to our website and you can find all the links to the associated services that you require in either buying or selling.
So that will be launched, as Charles said, later this month. So watch this space. We'll make sure that we promote it when it is live.
We will.
And keep watching. David, Charles, thank you for your time. Have you got anything else that you'd like to?
No.
Well, just to say that yes, the next sale is on the 16th of October, and even if you don't have a property to sell, even if you're not thinking of buying, do come along to the auction. It will give you a much better feel of how the process works. It's in the Delta Marriott Hotel in Milton Keynes. There's a bar, there's a restaurant. You can make an afternoon of it, and come along and enjoy it. See, learn a bit more. See what we do, and we'd love to see you there.
The auction starts at 12. If you aren't local and we're a million miles away from you, you can actually watch it live. We have a live stream facility. And if you wanted to bid and you can't make the auction, you can also bid online. It's not just an in-room facility, although I think if you are local, please do go because you get the atmosphere and everything else. But yeah, if that's not possible, you can stream online and you can bid online. You do need to register prior to bidding online, so please bear that in mind. And if you do want to do that, then you can do that by going through to our website. Thank you, David and Charles. As always, lots of information to take in. I've launched a series of podcasts lately. Have a look at them. They're available on our website and all the podcast channels. And we will be also launching some further auction podcasts. So watch this space, stay tuned, and I'll speak to you again soon. Many thanks. Goodbye.
Bye.